Hey, Noam. That's you, right? Noam Chomsky, that's you. Hey, man. It's kind of a pleasure. It's kind of a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Noam Chomsky. It's an honor. I'm not really a fan of yours. At one point, you might have been a little bit of my intellectual hero. I think maybe I'm misrepresenting the past, but you were kind of an intellectual hero for me at one point. What are you doing here? What do you got in your hands? No? Well, hi, I'm Noam, yeah. And you are? Mark Bitten. Nice to meet you, Mark. These are batteries. The batteries in the back of my neck are dead, so I take them out and I put them, well, I throw them away usually, but I've got the old ones in my hands and my new batteries are in my neck, so I'm just sitting here waiting for my head to charge up. Is that why you're so smart? You have batteries? Your brain runs on batteries? And then, just then, right when I said that, all of a sudden a zombie rose up from the swamp beneath my feet. And it was like one of those pixie straw zombies. It was just sugar inside, and I grabbed its neck and I took it and I wrapped it on the ground. And I started crunching it with my foot, stamping down on it with a boot heel, like I was in the Old West, a cowboy with my spur and my boot heel, smashing its face in. Now, of course, a zombie being a zombie, well, it didn't really work. It was like a pixie zombie with sugar inside of it. And then I was down there trying to squeeze its head off, pop its head off, squeezing at the neck, and its face was all green. But it was really thin. It was like a cartoon-like zombie. And then the zombie kind of got away from me, and then we were up on our feet again, and I was tearing him around and everything like that. And then I threw him down, and I got a shovel. I don't know where I got a shovel. Sometimes shit just hangs out. And I grabbed the shovel, and I was boom, and I got a pitchfork, and I boom. Eventually, I squashed the zombie to death, and it died a second time. I am a zombie killer. As for Noam Chomsky, this is a different matter altogether. I sat back down, completely in that fight or flight panic mode with my amygdala firing on all cylinders, and I was just like I was a fucking ape, like I was a fucking silverback gorilla, and I was just sitting there. And Noam Chomsky, he still had his big ass batteries in his hands. Remember the Duracell batteries? You know, when batteries are big, they're like this big, right? And well, imagine batteries the size of the small Coke cans now. You know how Coke got smaller? Those. He had them in the back of his head, and I was just like, well, after I calmed down from all the adrenaline, because I just killed a zombie, I was soaking my feet in a swamp, right? My toenails are a little bit longer than they should be, and I was just kind of moisturizing my toes before I clip my toenails because they become a little hardened, like the shell of a tortoise. And so I have to, soften my toenails in a swamp. And I was just sucking up the fumes from the swamp, the miasma, going into a little bit of a hallucinogenic state. And I don't know if that is why I saw Noam Chomsky in front of me with the batteries outside of his head, and then he had replaced them, and then a zombie came up, I don't know. I really don't even know where I was when I was soaking my feet in the swamp so I could cut my hardened toenails. Sometimes I have to borrow the neighbor's clippers, their shears that they use for big bushes, and then I just use those on my toenails. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, keep calm and talk to Noam. Noam, what just happened there? Noam took a moment. He was a very reflective guy. He is somewhat of a boring person. He doesn't thrive off of intellectual sensationalism. He just gets to the point. He says, well, I think you were attacked by a zombie. That was very deep, actually, because he could have said anything else. If you think about that, he actually affirmed the reality of my existence. So even if it were a wide panoramic hallucination that engulfed us both, within that panoramic hallucination, he affirmed the reality of my experience, so that was very charitable of him. Hermeneutically speaking, it gets really tricky to be verified within the substance of a hallucination, but maybe it was real. And I was actually talking to Noam. I was like, okay, Noam, we have a predicament on our hands here from a kind of ontological, epistemological perspective. You have verified the reality of my experience choking and killing a zombie, and I'm not sure if this is a dream or a hallucination, so I have certainty within an uncertain context. And he's like, yeah. Well, Mark, that's absolutely correct. And it's also nonsensical that I should use batteries to charge my cognition, but that is the case as well. And that's when I shot back to him. I said, okay, no, that's where I'm losing you. Because now that you've affirmed that you are using batteries to power your cognition, and then you say, I just, in reality, choked a zombie, killed a zombie, now I don't know whether this is a real experience or whether this is just an illusion of my mind and I'm in a deluded state. And then all of a sudden I hear a knock on the door. I'm like, wait a minute. The first reality has vanished, as if it were a vision, a mirage in an ocean, of an oasis in the distance, where, not ocean, a mirage in the desert, as if in the distance there's an oasis. I go down to the door, look through the window of the door. It's Noam Chomsky again. I invite him in. I bring him upstairs, take him into the kitchen. We sit down at the table and I'm like, hi. Hello, Mark. Noam, you seem a little somber. How are your batteries? My batteries? Yeah. You don't have the batteries in the back of your neck. Do you still have them? And he just goes up, touches the back of his neck, and is like, what batteries are you referring to, Mark? Well, the batteries, the ones that you had just a second ago when I was choking the zombie. You were choking the zombie a few seconds ago, and I had batteries. What's that? Noam, in that dimension, Noam, you affirm the reality of my experience, and here you are at my kitchen table telling me that... Noam, what are you telling me? That vision was false, that it didn't occur, that I was deluded? No, Mark, I'm not telling you anything. I'm just here, enjoying this sunny day. Okay. Can I get you something to eat, Noam? Would you like something to drink? Maybe some tea, some cookies, something like that? Yeah. That would be wonderful. Thank you very much. So, Noam, I've got a question for you. Why did you come back Or why are you here? Apparently you didn't come back because you were never there in the first place, but now you just came through my front door. You're sitting at my kitchen table and you're asking me, well, I offered tea and cookies and... Are you real now? Is that the real Noam Chomsky? Yes. Yes, I am the real Noam Chomsky. I don't believe you, Noam. I've heard things about you. I even read the first 2 paragraphs of an essay online suggesting that you might be an agent, that you're not the real deal, that you're part of a much deeper psyop. And I also suspect that you're not really an anarchist. You're a faux anarchist. You're not the real deal. You're sitting here giving us lukewarm milquetoast versions of anarchists to throw people off the real trail of what actually is a deeper, more compelling, and more laser-like aerodynamic wind tunnel jet stream form of aerodynamism. I mean, of anarchism or anarchy or whatever. He just shakes his head at me. Asks for a little milk to put in his tea. It's a black tea. It's Earl Grey. I don't actually like Earl Grey, but I keep Earl Grey in the cupboard in case people like Noam Chomsky show up. He drinks his tea. And then, as the liquid is going down his throat, the liquid becomes extremely visible and coats his interior. I see it going through his body, and as it goes out, down further and further, the rest of his body congeals into a liquid and then goes and becomes just this one pillar of liquid and goes down to the ground into a puddle right at my feet. Zombie comes up. Only the zombie looks exactly like Noam Chomsky. And I can't tell the difference really. I just know that what I am looking at arose from the swamp of the former Noam Chomsky. And now is like a dead corpse-like entity haunting me. And I run. I run out of the kitchen. I slam the door behind me thinking, oh, if the zombie is like any zombie in any of the TV shows that I've seen, it can't get through the door, but it's Noam Zombie. Noam Zombie opens up the door. Apparently Noam Zombie is a lot better shape than Noam Chomsky. And then he runs after me, and he grabs me from behind. He's one of those fast zombies from World War Z. You know, the one with Brad Pitt. And he looks at me. And I see the truth in his eyes. The truth that he denied when he was a mere human, but now the truth that I see in his eyes when he's a zombie. The dead tell the truth. They can't help themselves. There's no screen. There's no filtration. There's no self-censorship. The dead tell the truth. The liquefied, dead Noam Chomsky, a.k.a. Noam Zombie. I'm looking at him right in the eyes. And I see the truth that he's hiding from everyone, and God damn it, I think he's an agent after all. In this eye, one World Trade Center. In this eye, the other World Trade Center. The Twin Towers. And in his 2 eyes, I see them collapsing. But in his eyes, I see more microscopically than anything I've ever seen. I see the controlled demolition of the Twin Towers as they explode and the entirety of both towers collapses at near freeform speed. And then when they're gone, I see World Trade Center 7 in both eyes. No plane hit World Trade Center 7, but it collapses at free fall speed, velocity. And then he takes a bite of me. He bites me. And this is a bite from The Walking Dead. It goes right here in my neck. And all of a sudden I know that I'm going to die. And as I'm convulsing and dying and going into a severe fever, I see Noam Zombie walking away. And I see the 2 battery packs in his back pocket. They're like strapped to his belt, really. And in a last second, I take the 2 batteries and I wrench them free from his belt. And I bite into them. Because right now I'm half mad. I'm crazy. I don't give a shit about my teeth. I don't have any logical thoughts that say to me I can't bite to a battery. But with superhuman zombie strength, because I don't give a shit about my teeth anymore, I don't obviously think it's acid. I drink the 2 batteries. And I could feel the acid going down into my body and eating through my esophagus. And then it patches and coats the bite in my neck. And then it's as if I only have half a brain left. Left hemisphere, right hemisphere. One of them is a zombie, and the other is a human. And now I feel destined to roam the earth, knowing the truth about 9/11, but completely unable to do anything about it.